Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Ray Donovan. So, a very interesting episode this week. We had Ray trying his best to look out for his dad. Like I said, last episode we saw him really feeling bad for his dad being in the situation he is. Granted, Ray has never been the biggest fan of his dad, but the fact of the matter is his dad was willing to sacrifice himself to fix the situation, get Belikov out, to make sure that his family isn't in the crosshairs anymore. Granted, he's the reason why this whole situation started because of the whole pimping thing and wanting to expand his business of getting mixed up with very bad people. So, granted, it's him fixing the problem he caused in the first place. But the fact of the matter is he is willing to do it because he's trying not to be selfish. He was trying to do the right thing, especially finding out, it's like, oh, Abby's also got cancer. So all this situation just pile upon each other. He wants to do the right thing by his son, He wants to do something that, help repair that relationship between them because they haven't always been on the best of terms. So I really like the fact is that in this episode, it's like, okay, we're going to get you into protective custody, so we're going to need you to pretend that you're gay. And he's just like, wait, what? He's like, yes, pretend that you're gay. But I love Mickey's reaction to it, being like, okay, I'll do it. He's like, but I think it's very sweet that you're trying to look after me. It's kind of sweet, just how caring you are. And Ray's just like, shut up. Look at this paper, remember the lines. Because it is very interesting, because it kind of gets brought up in this episode when he was talking to Cochran earlier in the episode, and Cochran's like, wait, you want to get your dad into protective custody? The same dad that you hired solely back in season 1 to kill? And he's like, yes, the same person. He was willing to hire someone to kill his dad just to get him out of his life because he causes nothing but trouble. But now he's willing to go out of his way to protect his dad. And it's so interesting how conflicting his character is. I mean, it's very interesting when you look at how much his character has changed. Like I said, willing to kill him in season 1, and now season 4 you have him willing to protect his dad. So it's interesting to see how that dynamic in that relationship is constantly evolving. It's just because he's always had a very love-hate relationship with his dad. More hate than love, but it does seem like that paradigm is shifting a little bit inside of him. A side note, we kind of got introduced to a new character this episode that I really liked. It was the Texan. So apparently, Ezra had another guy. Ray wasn't just his only fixer guy. He actually had the Texan too. The way Avi was describing it is basically that the Texan did the more dirtier jobs that Ezra wanted to keep Ray away from. Because, Ray was more like a son to him. So it's kind of like, yes, he asked Ray to do some very not so legal and very shady stuff, but the Texan's the one that handled the really, really dirty and really dark stuff. It's Ezra's way of protecting Ray, which is very interesting. I guess it makes sense. It's like, even though you let your son get involved in the same job that you're working with, I mean, obviously that's not his son, but still, like I said, you treated Ray like a son. You're getting him involved in that work, but you don't want him to see every side of it. You want to keep him on the slightly morally gray side, I guess, not completely 100% skewed on a darker side, I suppose. But it's very interesting to get to meet the Texan. We don't really know him because this is the first time he's ever been brought up before. So that's kind of interesting to me that Ray wasn't the only go-to person that he had. It's just the fact that it's like, oh, he also had the Texans too, which also made me think like, oh, does that mean he have other people too? But apparently that's not the case, because when Ray found out like Ezra was behind that actress from Fiona Miller's body being taken care of, he was like, okay, the only other person it could be is the Texan, because he's like, okay, it wasn't me, so it can only be the Texan, so it means like they're the only two people that were employed by Ezra, which means like, prior to this episode, Ray knew of the Texan, but never actually met him. I mean, don't even actually know his real name. But it was kind of interesting to meet the Texan and realize like, oh, he's an older guy, and it was kind of interesting for Ray to see that too. He was just like, yeah, he looks just like an older guy, and he's just there working on his lawn. That's all he is. Because we see that in the fact is that he's just referencing the fact is he's an older guy. When he went up against Cochran, he ended up, yes, he hurt Cochran, but Cochran got some shots on him too. And that's because he's not as young as he used to be, so his reflexes aren't as good, so he couldn't handle the situation as well as he probably could have in his younger days. But what I like is the fact is that kind of brings up parallels between him and Ray, because you see it when Ray kind of looks at him, because Ray is actually looking at his future, like continuing on the path he is, doing the work that he's currently doing. Eventually it will lead to him, if he stayed in this world of doing what he's doing, he'll end up like the Texan, who like I mean, we really don't know much about him. Maybe we'll get to learn more about him. Because I was worried about that. Because I was like, okay, Cochran's still there. He's alive. He was shot, but he's still alive. So that means, oh, the Texan's dead. But it's like, no, the Texan's not dead. I was worried about that. I was like, okay, so we're going to kill off the character we just met. Because I'd like to learn a little bit more about him. Because what I was about to bring up is like, is the Texan alone? That's the question. Like, because of the life he leads, does he only have himself? Does he only have the job? And maybe that'll make Ray kind of think more about everything that he's doing, make him kind of reflect more on his life. Because it's like, oh, here's the Texan. He's alone. He has nobody. All he has is this job. And here he is as an older guy still doing it. But look at him. He could easily be dead right now because he isn't as quick as he used to be. So in Ray's case, it's like, the moment I get older, like, will this job be all I have? Like, when it's all said and done, when I end up losing my family, will this job end up costing me his family? Or you could also look at it as like, this is what years of working with Ezra did to him. Granted, Ray worked with him, but from what it looks like, the Texan might have worked with him longer. Maybe not necessarily longer, I'll take that back. Maybe just because of all the darker stuff he had to do. He saw the darker side of the stuff that Ezra took care of. So, maybe it makes you grow older, a little jaded, and, it's just like you only see the dark side of everything. Ray was fortunate enough to be kind of blocked from it. So, but, you could also draw that parallel too, that if Ray had, spent more time with Ezra, maybe eventually Ezra would have asked Ray to start doing the type of stuff that the Texan took care of. I mean, granted, I brought it up before, like, Ezra made Ray do some pretty shady stuff, but probably not to the extent that the Texan did, especially the fact is that Ezra had to shield Ray from doing stuff like that. So it makes you wonder, like, if enough time had passed, would Ezra have eventually led Ray to do that, like, type of stuff? And what kind of person would Ray be right now? It brings up those interesting questions. And the fact of the matter is, since I was talking about Cochran earlier, love the fact is he ended up betraying Ray. I mean, everyone saw that coming. Avi saw it coming. Lena saw it coming. I mean, surprisingly enough, Ray saw it coming, but Ray's not stupid. He's like, yeah, of course Cochran's going to try and screw me over. I mean, he went to, what's the guy's name? Sherman, who interestingly enough is the dad who played, he's the guy that played Carl on Family Matters, the police officer dad. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, from Family Matters. I couldn't really tell for sure when he was like, on set in that character outfit. I like the concept of that show, Norman Saves the World. Basically, he pretends to dress up like his mom, balancing being himself as well as disguising himself as his mom. It's a little bit Big Mama's House kind of. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But when I looked at his face, I was like, isn't that him? And then when he took the wig off, I was like, that's definitely him. So that was kind of cool. But the fact is that Cochran was going to him and being like, okay, you know about Ray Donovan? And he's like, I've heard of him, never met him. He's like, okay, I'll take care of him. Which is very interesting. I was like, I wasn't expecting Cochran to actually attempt to kill Ray. But it kind of makes sense because it's like Ray has basically screwed Cochran over in every regard. Like, he was at the top of his game, at the top of the FBI, and just every time he's encountered Ray, he's fallen a little further and further down, basically destroying his life, destroyed his marriage. He has nothing now. I mean, granted, he has his music, which is weird to see him recording an album and everything. It's just like, I guess, like, that's all you have now is your music. I mean, granted, he's using this whole opportunity as a payday because he got like a meal from Ray, and he tried to get $5 million from Sherman about like, oh, I'll cover up the body, I'll find the body, so tell me where it is, and then I'll get rid of Ray for you. Was granted, Sherman betrayed him and got in contact with the Texan to take care of it. So it does make you wonder, where are they going to stand now once it's all said and done, now that Cochran's betrayed Ray. It's kind of like, I knew you were going to screw me over and you attempted to screw me over. It almost got you killed trying to screw me over, but you're still alive now. So it does make you wonder, like, how are things going to work out now? Because the entire episode, I did like the fact that he kept bringing up, he's like, oh, we worked so well together. Don't you feel good about this? Doesn't it feel good to you that we're working together? And Ray's just kind of like, shut up, stop talking. Like, we're not buddy-buddy. I did like the conversation he was having with Ray. The fact of the matter is he was doing all this shady stuff, like, because he's the one that helped cover up that lady Fiona Miller's murder. He's the one that hid the evidence and stuff like that. And I like the fact that he was like, I don't know why I feel the need to explain this to you. Because he was trying to say to Ray, like, I don't know why I'm explaining this to you. I don't know why I get the feeling I need to explain it to you. But I was a good guy at one point in time. I started this off with the best of intentions. But you, I mean, granted, you were a scumbag from the very beginning. The moment you were born, you were going to be a scumbag, so there was no hope for you. But me, I just got worn down. I became like this because I was just beaten down until I became this. And I guess really when it's all said and done, it's not really just Ray he was trying to convince, it was himself. He's trying to convince, no, I was a good guy at one point in time before I became the scumbag I am now. So, you know, it was just to me, it led to that was an interesting conversation to have. Then on the flip side of things, we didn't really touch on it too much this episode, but the Bunchy side of the story, dealing with the baby, it's just like, you know, with Hector deciding to like, oh, he's going to train at the gym now. That's going to attract more attention to it, put the gym on the map and whatnot. So it's going to be a lot more busy, and he's like, you know, having to deal with Maria by himself, and he's asking Abby for help with that. So, you know, that was kind of, you know, like I said, it was a very small sort of thing that was kind of tacked on. So it does make you wonder where that storyline is going to go. Like, we haven't seen hide nor hair of Teresa for like the past 2 episodes. So we don't, I hope when it's all said and done, before the season's over or whatever, or by the end of the season, whatever the case may be, that she does come back, that she, you know, she gets the help she needs and she's able to come back to Bunchy and their baby. I hope, you know, because Abby can't do everything with her helping Bunchy. I guess at the same time, Bunchy is trying to help her too, because I guess in his, you know, it could be seen as like he's willing to like ask her for help and stuff like that. He could probably hire a babysitter or something like that, but he wants her because it's like to help her keep her mind off the whole cancer thing. That's how I'm interpreting it, because it's like maybe he's thinking like if she keeps busy, maybe, you know, give her the energy to stay active and stay alive. I don't know. That's how I like to view it. That's a reason why he's asking her for help and stuff like that. And then, like, the one moment Connor pops up in the episode, what does he do? He screws up the whole plan about, like, oh, yeah, Mickey's gay. He's just like, no, you must be an idiot. He's got all these exes, plus he's got a whole bunch of kids. He's like, you're stupid. And just like, I'm busy right now. Let me get back to what I'm doing. It's like, oh, Connor, you idiot. It's like it's like like I said, with every passing episode, it's like they make him dumber and dumber. It's like, at the beginning, I thought he was kind of a well-adjusted, normal, you know, decently smart kid. But it's like, as he's gotten older, they just made him an idiot. And it's just like he's doing idiotic things. Let's not forget, like, he was shooting at that bouncy castle last episode, which we saw kind of not necessarily the ramifications for that, but the fact is Damien had a fight, but he was super drunk. And even the referee was just kind of, "Are you sure about this, Terry?" Because he reeks of alcohol and vomit. It's just like, Terry's like, "Yeah, he's got this," which surprisingly enough, he did. He took the guy down in like a single hit, so that was pretty impressive. It's kind of interesting to see Terry kind of step up and be a father figure. Like I said, he started this season off not getting what he wanted, and that was kind of to work with the church. But, you know, now he's gotten a new purpose, and, you know, he's helping Damien kind of, you know, do something with his life, kind of put like his problems aside and step in the ring, because he's got the talent. It's there. He's just got to work at it and foster it rather than just letting it go to waste. I like the whole him and Bunchy having to pretend, you know, saying like, oh, Mickey's gay. Just like them answering their phones and be just like, yeah, he has boyfriends. Yep, he's had boyfriends in the past and stuff. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know any names. He just, you know, we've seen him around. And even Abby was there. She's like, wait, what? And Terry was just like, yeah, we have to pretend Mickey's gay so he can be in protective custody. But Abby didn't ask too many questions. Just sounded like, just let it go or whatever. So that was, I guess, you know, now that she's kind of in the know about kind of the shady stuff that goes on that she's not really known about this entire time, she probably chalks it up to be like, oh yeah, that's Ray's business. I don't need to know, type of thing. So I'm surprised we didn't see any of Sonya this episode. Granted, we haven't really seen the ramification for it. Like I suspected last time, Belikov's body hasn't been found yet. Like I said, Ray probably like closed off the crate that Belikov's body was in, so they probably just like, yeah, we know what's in here, and shipped it off without really second guessing it. Which we also, side note, didn't even find out anything about that girl. Not unless there was some background stuff, because there were stuff on the TV, but I doubt that I don't know if that really make news or not. Maybe it would. Maybe it did, and I just wasn't attentive enough, or maybe it's something that's going to come up later. But, I hope she gets a proper burial. The string girl, it's just a shame. Like, I'm still heartbroken that happened to her, and I'm sure Ray is too. But he dropped her off at the mortuary, so I'm thinking, hopefully she'll get a proper burial, kind of treat it right, But the fact of the matter is, he's like, basically, you can't count on the Russians to protect you anymore. Granted, I don't know whether, to protect Mickey, obviously, but I'm trying to figure out whether they actually know now or not. Because if they really knew, they'd be coming after Raven. So I'm pretty sure it hasn't been discovered yet. But I'm surprised Sonya didn't make an appearance this episode. But I guess it's because Ray's keeping his distance from her. He doesn't want to talk to her. Because the last time they were talking at the end of the last episode, he immediately hung up on her. She's like, Ray. And so that's going to be interesting to see where everything goes from there. Like, how long will it take before they find out about Belikov's body? We even have that guy getting arrested to make sure he gets to Mickey in jail. That was kind of very interesting. You kind of already saw that from the beginning when he had the newspaper that had Mickey's face on, talking about the fact is that Mickey was the one that killed all those Armenians. And then, he kind of jumped on a police car and got himself arrested. So it's kind of like, okay. I felt bad for Mickey's cellmate, that older guy, because in my mind, I'm looking at him as like, oh, this is Mickey being buddy with someone else. It's like, okay, this is his new Shorty, When was Shorty? Shorty was season 2, right? So I was thinking like, I was like, oh, him being buddy again. Or was that season 3? I don't remember now. That might have been in season 3 because that was during that whole prostitution thing, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember. But I was thinking like, oh, he's got a new buddy again. But it's like, no, sadly not. That new buddy got poisoned. Granted, that's why you should never eat someone else's food. He shouldn't have ate Mickey's food, but, because it didn't work out for him. It's just like, oh, Mickey's got a new buddy. It's like, nope, he's dead now. So, I guess that's kind of supposed to be a representation of everyone in Mickey's life. Just kind of like, oh, you get too close to Mickey, you're bound to get screwed over or killed. That's how I, draw that parallel. I did like the fact that he's trying so hard to convince the guy that he was gay. Is like, oh yeah, he pretended like he was having sex with his cellmate, which was sad because it's like they're pretending you're having sex with him and he's up here dying. Granted, you didn't know he was dying, but you had your suspicions. But then he just drops dead. It's just kind of like I said, I thought he was gonna be Mickey's new buddy, like hey, buddy in cell, but it's like nope, doesn't work out like that. But luckily for Mickey, he was able to get transferred to the new, protective custody by the end of the episode. But I don't think that's going to work for long, especially because they are definitely gunning for him. So it does make you wonder how that whole situation is going to work out. But for now, it looks like Mickey's safe, so that's good. You already know it's not going to last long for just because of the nature of the show. It's like somehow they're going to find a way to get to him. Don't know how. Might have to, pay certain people or put themselves in a situation to get close to him, whatever the case may be. It's going to happen eventually, but they will get to Mickey. So hopefully Ray is able to get him out before then. Granted, with what they're doing, the deals they're trying to make him and Cochran before Cochran screwed him over, it's the fact of the matter is in the beginning it's like, okay, Mickey stays locked up for like 3 months or something, then we let him go or something like that. But they're trying to push for him like, no, you release him immediately. So also in this episode, we kind of have a very interesting situation with Hector. I was curious about what he was doing, and it does legitimately seem like he is trying to pull his life back together because he met with Marisol, and he's just like, yo, like, you up here getting high, you came around here to me, like, no, I'm getting back into boxing, I'm trying to piece my life together, you need to go off and get help. I need you away from me. But she's like, no, I need you. Like, being in rehab is not going to help me. But it's like, she's not really trying to give it a try. It just seems like, sadly, it seems like Marisol is just kind of in a very dark place, but she doesn't want to be alone. So she's trying to drag Hector with her. Like, he is her comfort. She's his comfort as well as he's her comfort in their situation. And they just kind of wallow and fester in their situation. But it's like, no, Hector's like, no, I gotta distance myself, I gotta get my life back together, and just he kind of pushes her away. That was kind of, which shows you that he is legitimately trying to, like, cause we saw a preview of it at the beginning of the episode, kind of reflecting to the fact is that Ray had that conversation with Hector an episode or two ago where it's basically you almost OD'd and she's just going to keep dragging you down. and basically, I think he finally took Ray's words, and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. He did get super pissed at Daryl. I kind of feel bad for Daryl. The fact is that was turned into nothing more than a chauffeur, being like, you want to do something for me? Go pick up my sister. And you see Daryl kind of like, yeah, because Daryl's a boxer too. He's like, yo, I thought I could spar with you some, like help you out like that, be your training partner or something. Thought, something meaningful, but it's like, oh, you want me to be your sister's chauffeur? Sure thing. And then his sister goes off and gets high, and then just like, Hector's getting pissed at him and it's like, yo, when I ask you to do something, just do it. And Daryl's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Now get out my face. So it kind of feel bad for Daryl being kind of put in that position. So it does make you wonder, like, with things being very destructive for her, will she come back at Hector for this? I mean, this whole thing at the beginning happened because, like, she was willing to out him, basically saying about their relationship and everything. So it makes you wonder, will she kind of fall back on that or not? I hope she legitimately does get the help she needs, because her situations like hers can only end one way, and that's, with you dying, that it just happens to be, it only takes, getting high that one time for her just to OD, So I don't know. I'm very interested to see where they go with that. Like, will Hector kind of be able to bring himself back up, kind of push his issues aside? And I mean, granted, yes, it's good and nice that he wants to piece his life back together, but it's not like he can completely. It feels like all he's doing is he's using boxing as an escape. It's like, yeah, I'm fighting, but I'm going to push my issues aside rather than dealing with them. I'm just pushing them aside, pretending like they don't exist. That's how I get it. That's how I'm interpreting it. Maybe he does legitimately. It's like, no, I'm going to work on it. I am going to legitimately not ignore it. I am going to work on it. But to me, it just feels like, no, I'm ignoring it. That's how I see it. Maybe you might see it differently. Maybe it's meant to be perceived differently, and I'm completely perceiving it the wrong way. Don't know. But overall, a very good episode. Can't wait to see what happens next week. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.